Proudly presenting the McLaren P1, a legendary icon for McLaren, originally launched at the Paris Motor Show in 2012, and then as a production vehicle in 2013, and produced globally for 2014 and 15. The example that I'm standing by today is a very special example with a lot of special, unique MSO content featured in a color called Kilo Gray. It is a second model year P1. It is a semi-late production VIN with a lot of cool features which we're going to discuss today. But let's just step back in time and talk about the P1. It was part of a unique moment in history when Ferrari, Porsche, and McLaren were competing against what would be the Holy Trinity cars. And it was really exciting. It was a very competitive era for the three manufacturers, all coming out with their cars within a one-year span of time. All were beautifully styled, highly successful, all sold out. Even today, they're trading for double, if not multiple, of X of what they were originally from new. The P1, however, of the 918 LaFerrari and P1 series is the rarest of all the three. At 375 copies, approximately 120 were made for the US market. They were sold to some of the best customers, true kind of collectors, hypercar enthusiasts, drivers, and purists. And when the car was launched, it was originally sold at $1,150,000 plus a selective listing of options. Not all of them have this kind of content. I think it's something worth noting because this color was a special wishes request. It's kind of a unique graphite gray, but a little bit lighter. It's the only one probably made in Kilo to our knowledge. It's a very clean example. It just had a lot of service work done on it to make sure that it would be ready for the next owner for many years to come. Mechanically, there is nothing that sounds like a P1, feels like a P1, and even the build quality today is something very unique and modern for the brand. You're going to see that by looking at around 7 different carbon fiber weaves throughout the car, ranging from different, I would say, tightness or gauges of width and safety within the carbon fiber. And we're going to highlight some of those different components by opening up some flaps and looking at this kind of technical carbon. And you're not going to see it everywhere because at the time the chairman of the brand, Ron Dennis, was actually a little bit conscious that it didn't look beautiful. But in reality, it's purposeful. It's really, really strong. It's Formula One grade. There was no compromise done on the P1. And even today, with the launch of the W1, the P1 is just aging so beautifully. Its design is timeless. Designed by Frank Stephenson. And Frank really had a beautiful repertoire of great cars in his design catalog, such as cars like the Mini Cooper, the BMW X5, the Ferrari FXX, the MC12, the Fiat 500, amongst many. While we look at the design elements of the P1, we see a lot of things incorporating the tick. It's here, it's in the headlight, in the door areas. It's also into these kind of clutch coolers as well into here, where we see even that thicker carbon fiber weave specifically. We have a plug-in on one side, which is the one I'm on here, and on the other side is where you put your petrol. Combined horsepower at about 903. We have a very, very girthy 3.8 V8 with a nice hybrid system. Kind of fun to see the features on the wheel as well with the iPass and the KERS, something right from Formula One. And you get into the interior, it's very driver focused. You have the screen kind of pivoting towards you. You have a lot of satin dry carbon. Even this specific build has the sills done in satin carbon. You have these racing harnesses from McLaren Special Operations, which were a special request for chassis 233. And we have this kind of tie-in of the McLaren orange, which is in the brake caliper, also the P1 on the top of the engine, which has been painted. And we even look into the headrests, the stitching, and even those harness belts are done in the McLaren orange threading. Okay, we're going to start this Kilo Gray P1. You simply hit the remote double click for the driver's side door. The car is currently in race mode right now, so When we do get in the car, we're going to say to keep it in race mode, which is very unique because it gets really close to the ground. The downforce starts to really come out, puckers down, the wing goes up, the hydraulics, the suspension, everything kind of dials itself in. It's technically not legal to drive in race mode on the road, but I thought it just looks quite wild, and let's hear it start up. When we first offered the P1 to prospective buyers, a very dramatic kind of position of the car was the rear end. And when you put into the race mode, which is currently featured in now, it really kind of puckers down. The diffuser is very low. You have this gorgeous wing coming out. We see a lot of design inspiration. Frank Stephenson likes to say, it comes from marine life, animals, cheetahs, and there really is no hard line in the P1. It's a very curvaceous shape, especially how kind of low it gets into these different angles here, deep areas going down into the rear of the car, and everything has a purpose. As stylistic as this car is, it's really designed by function, and that's what makes this car so incredibly aerodynamic. We have Akebono brakes, which were a first for a road car. This is a Japanese supplier that is also supporting Formula One on a carbon fiber brake, not to be confused with carbon ceramic brakes. A very unique feature. They kind of have this mirror-like finish on the outer part of the brake area, which gives this car beautiful stopping power. The sound of the P1 at full throttle still today is a very distinctive note. You guys may have seen these kind of famous clips of Chris Harris driving the P1 in the Middle East, the amethyst black car with this kind of blue flame just like coming right out of the this kind of exhaust tip.
Look at that! 916 horsepower!
Here we have a very, very clean example. It's not often you get to see a P1 like this come to market. It's eligible for a McLaren P1 warranty. It should be driven and enjoyed. This is really one of the most pleasurable and unique hypercars made in the modern era. It is truly a beaut.